Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Ghost in Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about why the MSBS is OP. I'm not just going to waste your time whining about it. I'm actually going to prove to you why this weapon is overpowered with facts, figures, numbers, and that sort of thing. It's going to be a normal weapon review at first. Probably the first half of the episode is going to be like the SC2010, the SA805, the pistol episodes that I've done a gun review. And then the last half is going to be more opinion, or I would say fact-based opinion on why I believe that this gun is overpowered. I'm going to try to prove that to you. If you don't want to watch the gun review and you just want to skip right to the end about why the gun is overpowered, there's a timestamp on the screen right now. You can go ahead and skip to that, but I would recommend that you watch the episode first. The gameplay that you're going to see is me playing 3v5 with J-Hub and Foxhound with MSBS with muzzle brake, and then we're going to swap over to another map on, I believe it's the map Strike Zone, and we have an MSBS with silencer. This isn't me going for KEM strikes. Well, maybe I was going for a little bit, but this is what I would call no-brainer gameplay. All of these gameplays were gotten super late at night, like 3, 4 in the morning when I was tired, and I just slapped on the MSBS and just went at it. Didn't think about anything, and the strength of the gun more or less carried me through all of my engagements and bad plays. So, first things first about the MSBS, let's talk about the damage. This is a very high damage assault rifle. It'll deal 55 damage per shot in close quarters combat, but it'll drop all the way off to 20 at a distance. This is one of the larger drops for assault rifles, meaning that it might not have the most consistent feel for you. However, in close ranges, all the way up to medium range, it's only going to take 2 shots to kill. It's a 3-shot burst rifle, and it only takes 2 of those shots to kill. And at long ranges, it could take up to 5 shots to kill. So no matter what, as long as your bullets are hitting, you're always going to kill somebody between 1 and 2 bursts. Headshots deal an additional 40% damage, or 1.4x normal damage. This, like all of the other weapons, is generally designed to give you 1 less shot to kill depending on your range, with the exception of the fact that it's not enough to turn your close range 2-shot kill any lower. So if they're close to you, aim for the chest. If they're far away, going for headshots might be more beneficial. The range on those 2 and 3-shot kills is impressive. The 2-shot kill range goes all the way out to 27 meters, and this is normal with no attachments. 27 meters is a range at which most of your submachine guns are going to be near to their minimum damage. Shotguns don't work, and pistols are useless at this range. This is the range at which most assault rifles are beginning to drop off. They probably haven't changed yet, but they're getting there. The 3-shot kill range, or the 1-burst kill range, is also very good, all the way out at 41 meters. That's going to be the range at, I'm going to say that's going to be near to the maximum range of your engagements outside of a Stonehaven map. Assault rifles, you don't normally engage on people outside of 40 to 50 meters, so that's going to be where you're at, and most of your engagements are going to be in the 2 and 3-shot kill range, and if you're using the weapon properly, that's where you want to be at anyway. This gun has 2 different rate of fire numbers that I need to go over since it's a burst fire weapon. First, we'll talk about how fast the burst is. The 3 bullets in the burst fire at 895 RPM. This is the fastest firing assault rifle in the game if we're just talking about the burst itself. However, there is a delay between the bursts, and you can't oversample or spam it, so if you factor in the delay and the spacing between the bursts and everything, it fires at 448 combined RPM, which would make it the lowest firing in the game. So it is both the slowest and fastest firing assault rifle in the game, depending on your perspective. However, when it comes to time to kill, we're going to be looking at the burst calculations. The recoil is low to moderate. It is definitely not a high recoil weapon. It's also definitely not a low recoil weapon. It's better than most, less than some. The kick is mostly vertical. It does not have a tendency to drift side to side too much. It will kick around a little bit. Probably the most noticeable thing about this weapon is that it has a very low center speed. It does not return to its center quick enough for you to spam with it. So if you were to go and treat it like the Type 95 or the M16 or some of the burst weapons from previous games and just spam, 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 it'll climb up on you. This one actually does take some degree of skill to get your long shots on. Aim down sights time is 0.3 seconds. This is standard for the assault rifle class, neither slower nor faster than the others. QUICKDRAW will speed that up to about 0.2 seconds. The reload times are a little bit on the slow side with a good reload cancel. That's kind of the story for most assault rifles. If you burned all of your bullets, that's 3.03 seconds to reload. A full reload, or a reload with at least 1 bullet in the chamber still, is 2.63 seconds because you've got 1 less action to, you don't have to rechamber anything. And reload canceling takes 1.6 seconds. So I would always recommend reload canceling. Best case scenario, you reload twice as fast. Worst case scenario, you still save a second on your reload time, and that can save your life. Magazine size, standard for assault rifles with 30, and extended mags will take you up to 40. Nothing to write home to your mom about there. One of this weapon's main weaknesses is that its iron sights are ugly. This is not a weapon where I find the iron sights to be usable or user-friendly. As a matter of fact, I classify them in the sin against humanity range. I always run an optical attachment with this weapon. I know that I can do better things if I don't have to run the 3 attachments perk, and I can run a foregrip and muzzle brake, or I can run select fire and then some other attachment. But I really do not like the iron sights. Whenever I use the MSBS, I go with the red dot sight because that one is tried, true, and accurate. Some of the other ones are by no means bad, but the iron sights are just butt ugly and I do not like them. If you'd like a recommended class for the MSBS, I have one for you. It's neither inventive nor creative, but it absolutely does do work. I always use it with a red dot sight because I don't like the iron sights. Muzzle brake is going to very greatly increase my 2-shot kill range and make this a very deadly weapon. Some people use it with the silencer because they say they don't need the extra range. I like the range. I like the muzzle brake. I also run it with QUICKDRAW and STALKER so that I can aim down sights quickly and kind of aim down sights around corners with no qualms. STALKER can kind of mess up my aim on occasion. If I'm sliding sideways and I missed my burst, it can mess me up. So I've tried to train myself to be standing still when I shoot this weapon and only use STALKER to position myself, and I believe that's a tactic that you'll find also beneficial. Like I said, this is not a super creative assault rifle class. This is what almost everybody runs on all of their assault rifles, but on the MSBS, this is ideal and this does work. Now it's time to talk about why the MSBS is OP, and the MSBS is overpowered. It really, really is, and I can't stress that enough. Ultimately, whether something is or isn't something, or what it classifies other than a black-white kind of situation, is opinionated, but I believe that I have a very well-backed opinion on this, a very fact-based opinion on why it's OP, and that's what we're going to get to right here today. So, who here remembers the Type 95 from MW3, the Bulldog Chinese assault rifle? Well, the Bullpup style Chinese assault rifle. It was 3-shot burst, shot at 1,000 RPM, killed you in 2 shots. Very little recoil. It was considered overpowered. Everybody complained about it killing you instantly, and MLG banned it within the first couple weeks of the game coming out. Do you remember that one? Yeah, the MSBS is essentially the same gun. It's just a slightly modified version of the Type 95, and it's kind of like being passed off as it's something totally new and different. And I don't understand the reason to bring the Type 95 back when almost everybody complained about the Type 95 and said it was overpowered. Why are we getting another similarly overpowered gun? Comparatively, the MSBS shoots slower than the Type 95. The old Type 95 shot at 1,000 RPM. This one does 895, so that's 105 RPM slower, or basically 10% slower, but it has a little bit more than 10% on the 2-shot kill range. Its 2-shot kill range is actually longer than that of the Type 95, and the damage and everything else, aim down sight, hip fire, is all basically the same. So it's basically a Type 95 that shoots a little slower, but has better range, which I don't know why you would bring that back, but you do. And the reason that 2-shot kill weapons, especially ones with high RPM, are overpowered is because 2-shot kill weapons have super fast time to kills. If you think about the formula for time to kill, it's not the rate of fire times the shots to kill. It's the rate of fire, it's the fire time, or the time between the shots, times the shots to kill minus 1. Because as soon as you see somebody and touch your trigger, there's no delay, there's no RPM delay. The instant you touch your trigger on a Call of Duty game, 1 bullet comes out of your gun. That is 0 seconds, that is absolutely times 0, and that takes no time. So you get 1 shot kind of for free with any gun. And then you need to count the amount of time in between the shots, so that's 0 trigger pull and then however much time to the next shot, and that next shot will kill you in this case. So you would add up the time to the second shot, and that's your time to kill. If you had a 3 or 4 shot gun, it would be the same thing. You would just find out what the delay is in between shots, which is kind of the inverse of RPM. And then you could say, okay, it takes 3 shots to kill, so I need to count 2 spaces. The 2 spaces in between the 3 shots, and you could add them up. But 2-shot kill weapons have an advantage in this time in that you only have to count 1 space, even if the space is longer than others, which in the case of the MSBS, it's not, because as you've seen, the rate of fire of the burst is very fast. Matter of fact, the burst rate of fire is actually the fastest rate of fire in the game. The FAD is listed as having the fastest fire rate, and it does shoot fast, but the burst on the MSBS is faster than the FAD in the assault rifle class. So I did some time to kill calculations for the assault rifles in this game, and what you'll see is the MSBS kills in 0.067 seconds. That is very close to 0.05 seconds, and I'm going to say that's about 1/20th of a second. I can actually get out my calculator here. You can hear it kind of clicking. I'm going to see if that's like about 1/18th of a second? No, more like 1/16th. That's pretty close to 1/16th of a second. That's extremely, extremely fast. The next fastest time to kill weapon in the game is the FAD, and the FAD does not have nearly the range of MSBS, and you have to get more shots on target. The FAD kills, let's say, twice as slowly and then some. Yes, or it would be better to say the MSBS kills twice as fast as the FAD. The next one up, the next fastest, is the ARX, which is only a little slower than the FAD, and you have some similar ones. And then I took another pretty common weapon, such as the AK-12, and that's 1.74 seconds. The MSBS kills almost 3 times faster than the AK-12. Granted, it does not have the same range and recoil, but burst fire aside, I could kill you 3 times over with the MSBS before you could get me with the AK-12. If you factored in the burst, it might be like twice with the MSBS, but you can see there's a clear problem here with this chart. The MSBS categorically and empirically dominates all the other assault rifles in time to kill, and it makes people die so quickly. So we're going to move over to another chart, which I did since Call of Duty thinks in frames, and you have to do a little rounding on this one. How many frames does it take to die when somebody shoots at you with the MSBS? So in between those first and second shots on the MSBS, you will generally die in about 4 frames. In a 60 FPS game, that's 60 frames per second, you die in 4/60ths of a second, which is close to that 1/15 or 1/16th, which is very, very, very fast. There is no human being in the world that can react to 4 frames. And you can see the other guns are twice as long, if not longer. The FAD is 9, the ARX is 9, and the AK-12 is 11 frames. But the MSBS is killing you so quickly that there's no reaction, there's no countering it. Like, if you have the MSBS and you aim down sights at a guy with the FAD, and the guy with the FAD aim down sights with you at the same time, the guy with the FAD cannot win. There's just no winning unless you're just terrible and you swipe your aim everywhere. You can kill him several times over before he can get to you. And this is kind of a problem. Now, this is assuming you're on LAN with no lag, with no connection issues, and we all know that in Call of Duty Ghost, damage has a tendency to spike. That's one of their compensating factors. It feels like you die in one shot a lot of times. Well, when you get shot by the MSBS, it's going to feel like you die in one shot all the time, because when you factor in lag, those frames to react are going to actually get smaller, because oftentimes your latency can be higher. I'm going to go back to this other chart here at 0.67 seconds. There are many, many games at which your latency will be higher than that. And by latency, I mean if we had our ping bars, if we had our ping numbers, you would sometimes see games with, you know, that's 67 milliseconds. Okay, 67 milliseconds. You could be going on like 75 milliseconds, 100 milliseconds, something like that. You could die a couple times over before the information would even get to you. And I'm kind of ranting here, so I'm going to move on to some other parts. The ranges with the muzzle brake actually make this crazier. If you put muzzle brake on, your 2-shot kill range, that almost insta-death range, is 32.4 meters, very, very far out there. The 3-shot kill range is 49.2 meters, which again is very impressive. We're getting more up to like in the AK and the R5 range here. So the range and the times to kill, very, very good. This gun has relatively low recoil. It does have some. It takes a little skill at range, but you know, close to medium combat, it's an insta-give. There's so many insta-kills with this gun. Even when I'm using it, when other people's using it, it's basically easy mode. I don't like to whine about things without offering some sort of way to fix it. So my first possible fix for the MSBS is to simply lower the damage. We'll change it to 49 damage, so it's 3 shots to kill. Then it gets to be a little bit underpowered. It kills kind of, not slowly, but considering the recoil and it's a burst weapon, it'll make it a pretty weak sauce gun. So I would lower the damage to like 49. We'll make it 49, just so that it's a 3-shot kill. You can raise the RPM maybe up to 950, 937, 1000. You can make the RPM higher. You can actually make the recoil lower, so it's kind of like a spammy burst rifle like previous guns. Not going to be a problem. But if the design team really likes that high damage and relatively high RPM weapon, you can do that. You can keep the same damage and keep the same RPM, but to make this a fair weapon, you can make the aim down sights time slower so that you can't sort of like beat people in close quarters combat easily. You can make the hip fire dumpier so that you just can't hip fire hose people, and you can make it kick more. You can make people work for that recoil, master that, make this a skill shot weapon, make this a camper weapon where people have to sit up, They can't challenge you in aim down sights battle, and they have to master the kick to make this work to get that sort of advantage. That's another possible fix. There's a lot of stats I don't have access to, so I don't know what else is going on. But that's the end of this in-depth episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful. I hope that you now know why the MSBS is OP. If you'd like to check out the previous episode, that's on the SA805. You can click the box on the left. That'll open in any window. The next episode is going to be on the focus perk. Or yes, it's a perk. I almost said attachment. Yeah, we're going to be testing out the focus perk. There is a link to the Ghost Ultimate utility down there in the description if you're interested in that. That's kind of all my stats in an app. And as always, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.